Hello there, my name is Stephen Goldfarb, and I'm a particle physicist from the University of Melbourne in Australia. I work on the ATLAS experiment on the Large Hadron Collider at CERN, and I also happen to chair the International Particle Physics Outreach Group, or IPPOG, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about briefly today. To get started, a little bit of context. If you remember, the public, we haven't seen them in a while, but this is what we used to look like. Perhaps this will look a little bit more realistic these days. The public are the people who provide us with funding, with resources, and they're the people who we report to. They're the ones who want to know what we've learned about the universe, and they're rather important to us. The public are busy. They're doing a lot of different things all day long, and they have the right to ask questions. One of the most important questions that they're going to ask us is why? Why should they be supporting us to do something as esoteric as particle physics research? What's in it for them? What are they going to get from this? They have to put part of their salary goes towards this. Here's another group of people who are responsible for making sure that the resources around the world are used appropriately and that everyone can be safe and have what they need to flourish. They're all over the globe in various forms, and they have the right to ask this question: how much? How much of the resources that they have, the limited resources that they have for their own countries or their own regions, should be dedicated to fundamental scientific research? Finally, here's the most important group of people, and this is the future. These are students, these are our children. They have several important questions to ask. Fortunately, children have lots of good questions. Who to believe, because they have a lot of information flying at them from many different places these days. And what to do? What should they do with their long lives they have ahead of them? Well, they see a lot of different answers. If they go to the web, which they do, to try to find answers, they're going to see a lot of stuff. They're going to find out that the world is flat, that homeopathy will cure them of anything, that the world is not changing, there's no climate change, that we're not heating up, and that vaccines are a problem. We shouldn't be doing vaccines. This was a problem even before COVID. But now that we have COVID vaccines, that we're going to get 5G reception because of them. There's a lot of crap out there, let's admit. And we have to compete with that because we want them to get the right answers, to get answers which are true and which will help them in the future. If they're really bright, they're going to take and look more deeply for information. They might take the word CERN, for example, and search YouTube to get information. Even then, half of the stuff that they get is going to be wrong, not even just wrong, but it's going to be stuff which is indicating it's dangerous, that we shouldn't be doing this research, that we don't no idea what we're doing. It's designed to scare them because that gets people to view it. This is what we're facing these days. You know this. I'm not telling you anything new, but this is something that we have to battle. We can't just sit back and say, oh, well, there's, these trolls are everywhere. We have to battle it. We need to do something to address this. Okay, you can see half of the things you find on YouTube. You can do the search yourself, by the way. Just log off first and take a look. In this environment where they're finding all of this out there on the web, we have big plans, at least in our community in particle physics. We just started a new update to our European strategy, which we do every 7 years or so, to decide what are the things that we need to research and what kind of facilities do we need to do that research. It takes a long time to build these facilities and it requires international collaboration, so we have to start early to think about it. We have a lot of big ideas, big, beautiful accelerators and detectors, for example, that we need to do the research that will advance our understanding of the universe. These things take time. You can see the planning and the strategy update goes for 70 years. That's several generations. We have to plan that far ahead of time. Okay, in order to do that, we have to have a world that is supportive. If we don't have the support of the public, we can't do this. So how do we prepare? How do we get that support? Education, outreach, and communication. These are essential. They've always been essential. All of us here probably are doing this in one way or another. It's communication Obviously, you do it. We're getting public funding. All of the information that we obtain, we want to share it with the public. We like sharing it with the public. And we do this in a variety of ways, and we're extending our networks all the time. After all, we came up with the World Wide Web, so we have a lot of ways to communicate with them. To me, I want to focus more on education and outreach, or public engagement, as we call it, because I think this is essential. This underlies the communication. It's what you have to do first, and that lies deeper. It means that we have to establish an understanding with our youth, especially, and of the public at large, of what's the scientific process. What is the process you have to go through to say that something is true? It's not eating a cheeseburger and tweeting. There's a lot of work, a lot of hard work, where people, especially in international collaborations, have to go through the process. They have to peer review it and double check everything that they're doing. This message is perhaps the most important message that we have to get out there to the public and to young students. We need them to have an appreciation for the fundamental research. We do this not for us, maybe not even the next generation, for generations afterwards. The information we get is essential for human survival, because we find the tools that our children and our grandchildren will need to advance society and to survive in the future. But to get all of this through, we also have to build trust with them. They have to understand the humanity behind this effort. We have to gain their trust. And we also need them to become our next generation of scientists. Whether they become scientists or they just at least understand science and become good citizens, both are equally important here. So all of these aspects, education, outreach, and communication, are what I would call strategic pillars of research. They hold up the research. They're not what you do afterwards because you found something out and you want to communicate it. Of course you do that, but they're what you do before you build. They're the convincing you need to do to the public before you actually build. IPPOG is an entity which tries to support all of this. We're an international scientific collaboration. Okay, we're a collaboration of researchers who have experience doing this, education and outreach, and experts also in communication education. Scientists do this work. We do outreach. We do it at our home institutes. We do it in our laboratories. We do it in our experiments. But IPPOG tries to bring all of this together so that we can share in this experience. We're a global network. We currently are 37 members. We are made up of countries, experiments, international laboratories. We have global activities. You've probably heard of International Particle Physics Masterclasses. If not, I'll give you a slide of that soon. We also have various activities, Global Cosmics, Worldwide Data Day, International Day for Women and Girls in Science, etc. And we do activities around the globe. We also support local things. If there happens to be a festival, if there's something that's going on where someone can use some funding, something to kickstart things, we try to support that as well. Our origins date back to 1997, and that was when this gentleman, Chris Llewellyn-Smith, who is the Director General of CERN, asked that all of the member states provide someone as a representative so that we could discuss and share best practices and share material. Since then, we called the group at the time IPPOG, European Particle Physics Outreach Group. We, over time, expanded. The LHC experiments are very international in nature, and so we expanded to become the International Particle Physics Outreach Group, and became a formal collaboration in 2016. The basic idea of getting some resources so we can have some core funding and core support that would allow us to continue to expand. Without that, we would not be able to expand and reach all the countries effectively. Our goals are basically sustainable particle physics outreach. That means that we want to discuss what we're doing, find the best practices and share them with each other, and also the best material and share them with each other. And this connects us to individuals, institutions, laboratories, education departments, etc. We have active working groups discussing this, working groups, for example, explaining hot topics or physics and society, or how to get master classes to go to countries where they hadn't been in the past. We're trying to improve our standards around the globe and to extend our reach, not just to different countries around the globe, but within countries also to different social groups and to those groups which are underrepresented in particle physics. That includes women, amongst others. We haven't been very good at that, and we are starting to improve that now. We have active online communication platforms and are extending our networks around the globe. Here you can see a quick image of the different countries we're members. You can see Europe is pretty well covered because that's where we started, but we're now reaching out from Australia, the US, Brazil, South Africa, Israel, Georgia recently. We're trying to reach all around. And there are many other countries. Every year we're adding members to our network. Our organization, we have two co-chairs. I've been around as a co-chair since 2017. I'm in my second term. We're allowed 2 terms. Pedro is my co-chair. He started his first term recently. We have a team. Barbara and Anita give us a lot of tremendous support there. Barbara has been with us for some time in our strategic development and communication, and most importantly, she's giving a talk during this meeting on our web pages and specifically on global cosmics. So you'll definitely want to see that. Masterclasses are coordinated by Uta Billow and Ken Cecere. Global Cosmics are coordinated by Carolyn Schwert and Sabine Hemmer. We have a variety of different organizational bodies as every organization has to have to make sure things are done effectively. Sharing ideas is our most important thing. We have a couple meetings each year that last for about 3 days. Everyone gets together. Of course, all the images look the same because we're all these days on Zoom. But we tend to, when there isn't a pandemic, we travel to different countries who are members or who want to become members of the collaboration. We have different themes. You can see from what we've done in the last couple meetings, we had one theme which was on our response to the European strategy, which was updated recently. And that included asking people from CERN, from the European particle physicists, as well as nuclear physicists and astroparticle physicists to get together and discuss how do we strategically improve education and outreach in line with the recommendations. We also had a discussion specifically on diversity, inclusion, and accessibility in particle physics outreach recently, and could be a working group is going to form out of that. We have a variety of communication platforms. These include our web pages, which are being upgraded and will be outstanding at the end of the year. And again, watch Barbara's talk on that. We also are active on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram, not on TikTok yet. I mentioned International Particle Physics Masterclasses. I could talk about this for an entire talk. I don't have the time, but it's a very, very important part of IPPOG. It's where we bring in classrooms. Usually they are invited into an institute or a laboratory where they will get to use real tools, to use real data, and to make discoveries themselves, to get an idea of what it's like to be a particle physicist, and to talk with researchers who are active in particle physics research. We got up to 14,000 students in 2019. Of course, things dropped out in 2020. We really didn't have much of a program because it got stopped by the pandemic. But we've learned from that, and are now finding it that we're more able using Zoom to reach out to different diverse areas. And I think in the coming years, we'll be dramatically increasing the number of people that we reach. And we have special events, for example, on the United Nations Day of Women and Girls in Science, and we host these in different laboratories. Global Cosmics is an important initiative which was designed to bring together all the different efforts that were going on in classrooms all around the globe. There's a variety of different projects there. We try to provide a platform for them so that they can communicate and so that they can have information that they share together. Again, go see Barbara's talk, and you can learn more about that specific platform that she's helping to develop. Worldwide Data Day is another important event that we do. This is hosted by QuarkNet in the US, and it's fantastic. It brings data all around the globe and allows these students from every single time zone to be a part of this activity, to learn really what international collaboration is all about. Beamline for Schools is another activity where we help out. This is a CERN activity but IPPOG provides guidance for the student groups, helps them with language barriers, and puts them in the right direction for the feasibility of the experiments that they want to do. Finally, more recently, we've really ventured into trying to reach the festivals, not just science festivals, art, music festivals, and also to reach out to the public when we have major conferences, to let them know what all these geeks are doing, invading their town. We have events where we can have discussion forums, and they can learn a bit more about what particle physics is all about. I just conclude by showing some of the challenges that were put forward. The European Particle Physics Strategy Update is mainly about building new facilities and what areas, what directions of physics we want to go in. It's really important that the past couple of times they have specifically mentioned IPPOG in it and have emphasized the importance of education and outreach. And we couldn't agree anymore. We want to reach out. We want to reach into classrooms around the globe. We want to do more informal education, and we want to reach out to the public more to prepare material for that. So all the recommendations, we're behind it 100%. In fact, we're ahead of it. We're already doing those things. So I want to conclude there and thank you very much for your time, and come ask me questions when you can. That's the last time we were together, 2019. No masks. Bye-bye, and thank you.